Hello.
Hi, Betsy.
How are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing? Let me start my video. I see you. Is anyone else going to join on video? You don't have to, of course. It's more fun that way if you do, though.
There we go.
Thank you. All right, it is the stroke of 6:30 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Curious to see, and we've got a few people online, and we got a bunch of people online here. I'm so excited. I'm going to unmute you all, unless you don't want me to. I guess you could unmute yourselves, but I'd love to either hear from you or you can share in the chat where you're dialing in from, because I'd like to see where we've got everyone from.
I'll go first. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Well, Beth was my breakthrough buddy.
Oh, Beth was oh, cool.
But hi. I'm Betsy Johnson and from Columbus, Ohio.
Betsy, what's the #1 reason why you're here? What do you want to gain or create or get unstuck with?
I can't make initial contact with individuals face to face about my business.
Oh, wow.
I'm wicked behind with a phone in my hand or behind a computer screen typing messages and stuff. But when it comes to, striking up conversations with people, and then, which that's not difficult for me either, but then to say, hey, do you drink coffee? What do you think about this? And I just get this big knot and I just get really scared. And
got it.
That's where
All right. Well, let's get over that, Betsy. I think there's some fear factor there in trusting yourself. And so let's talk about that today, just getting really clear on yourself and those limiting beliefs you might have. So who else do we have on the line who'd like to introduce themselves and share what's one thing you want to gain or something you're excited about today?
I can go. This is Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hey. I am in Columbus, Ohio as well.
Yeah.
And something I've just been stuck in kind of a similar situation when it comes to the career search, or not really the career search, but just kind of what's happening right now. So I'm just curious to get any form of insight, period.
Sure. Okay, so you're kind of stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Can anyone else relate to that on the call? A little stuck in a rut on something? Okay. Who else wants to introduce themselves? You can introduce yourself in the chat too. Let me know where you're dialing in from.
Hey there, it's Mike Wade.
Hi, Mike Wade.
I'm coming in from Chicago.
Hi.
What I'm looking to do is, I guess the rut, yeah, that's a good way to put it, to bring our business to the next level. Increasing revenue, increasing sales, I think is our goal.
All right, I love it. Let's do that, Mike. Miley, were you trying to talk before? I think I saw your mouth moving, but no sound. I think you were muted.
I unmuted myself.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. So my name's Miley. I just met Kate a couple days ago at a conference.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, and she just told everyone about her her webinar, and mine is, I don't really own my own business or anything by any means, but it's me being unstuck from figuring out what I'm passionate about. and what I'm supposed to be doing or what I'm meant to be doing.
Ooh,
Kind of like channeling my strengths.
awesome. Okay. Where are you dialing in from, Miley? I can't remember.
I'm from California.
Awesome. Where?
Yeah, well, currently I'm in Delano, but I live in Bakersfield, so in the Central Valley.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks for joining in. All right. Anyone else want to introduce? We got Lisa from Minnesota, and she says, nice to see you, Miley. Enjoyed meeting you this week. So Lisa Hemker is on the line here too. Anyone else want to do a little intro, or are we ready to go?
Hi, Kate, it's Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm good. So everybody, yes, I'm dialing in from St. Paul.
Woo.
And yeah, getting unstuck. I emailed you about getting unstuck, trying to define the title of the role, really getting clear on my, what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And also try to get out of the cycle of having to frequently give myself the pep talk of being more than good enough.
Ooh. Anyone else have to give themselves pep talks frequently? I don't think you're alone, Nancy. I think we all get the good old pep talk once in a while. All right, well, let's jump in. I'm so excited to see you from all across the country. We've got so many people on the line today. So what we're going to dive into today, and I just appreciate it because I know you've got plenty of places where you could be right now, and you're spending it with us together here. So we're going to dive into 5 key strategies to unlock your ultimate success. And let me see, I got to forward my slides here. There we go. Can everyone see the screen okay if you're in front of a computer? I'm not blocking it with things, am I? I hope not. You can see it. Okay, thanks, Nancy. So here's what we're really trying to do today. We're going to look at the strategies that we're using in our lives. And we can have strategies that are really intentional. And sometimes they're default strategies. And because of that, our results can really vary. Sometimes things happen for us, and sometimes they happen to us. And our success can be the result of our strategies, whether we are intentional about our strategies or not. And I'm like a big strategy thinker. So that's why I bring this up to share that with you. Let me see, there's something in the chat. Oh, hi there. Hi, Suzanne. Oh, I'm so glad you're able to join. No problem. Step away, come back in when you can. All right. Thank you. So we're going to talk about some thoughts and actions and things that hold us back from achieving our best success. I hope you've got a pen and paper ready because I'm going to give you some homework to do while we're on. Nancy's got her pen. While we're on the call, I'm going to give us some stuff to work on right now so that you can walk out of this with some ideas already. I'm going to share with you 5 key strategies for what to do when you're feeling into that, sucked into the vortex of self-sabotage. Has anyone like gone through that like self-sabotaging behavior? I know I sure have. And we'll give you some tools to think about what to do next. At the end of the call, I want to talk a little bit about how you can activate this more quickly in your life, how you don't have to wait another year for this to happen. So I hope it's all right with you. I'm going to share with you an opportunity to work with me and see how that can support you in getting your goals met soon, not later. Let's get you unstuck. So I'm going to share with you my story. That's how we're going to start. I'm going to share with you my story of being stuck and getting unstuck. It's one of many stories. Don't worry. I have a lot of stories about being stuck and getting unstuck. And I want to talk about where I'm headed now. So who would that be valuable for? Would that be valuable for you guys to hear that? Yeah, hear a little bit about that? Okay. Hopefully it's pretty relatable. Then I'll share those 5 key strategies. Who's excited about those? I am. I mean, even putting this together for you guys, with you guys, I learned a lot more about myself every time I think deeply on the topic. And I'm going to share with you lots of different tools to set you up for success. So here's what I ask if you can put your headphones on and focus. This will be a real gift to yourself today to spend some time working on yourself. If you've got pen and paper, you're going to be really happy about that because I'm going to share some real good nuggets here. And if you don't have pen and paper, you're just going to be crying and resentful of yourself later. That's how you stay stuck. So have notes and then participate. I'd like this to be a real conversation, not a monologue. That's not why you're here. You're here to learn. And by learning, you have to experience something to learn it. And that requires you to do it. So who's ready for some fun? Me, I'm ready. Woo! Beth is ready. Betsy's ready. All right, awesome. Okay, so I said I'd share. Oh, let me see. Here's the agenda. I'll go through that. Okay, so welcome, where I got stuck, what I did to get unstuck, my 5 key strategies for unlocking success, and what you can do next. Well, here we go. Oops, that's not where I was supposed to go. I'm going to keep this here. I'm new to this webinar, you guys, and this is me getting outside my comfort zone, which is something I'm going to be encouraging you all to do too. So we're learning here together. All right.
Be gentle with yourself, Kate.
Thanks, Betsy. So I want to share a little bit of a story with you. Over the long view, it's a very fun story, but during the time, it was, thanks, you guys are so sweet. Thanks for sending me those messages. So over the long view, it's a really awesome story because what I learned along the way is allowing me to be here talking with you today. But in the moment, it was zero fun, no bueno, very bad, sehr schlecht, learning life experiences. So I'm blessed to be able to pass this on to you here today. And what I've done is I've turned my pain into purpose. I have removed the shame I've had in my life. I have moved forward in a way where I can create authentic, trusting relationships with people. And it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't easy, but I'm going to share with you some of the strategies I use to move on. So I'm just passionate about helping others find that light and getting unstuck themselves. So back in 2003, some of you may or may not know, I started a nonprofit with my dear husband, who's sitting beside me right now because I needed his moral support, with my dear husband, Joe. And we had the concept of creating an Irish music school in St. Paul, Minnesota. There had not been an Irish music school here before. So I quit my job. I had small babies at home. I started a nonprofit. I was super passionate about teaching kids Irish traditional music on the flute and on the fiddle and singing and all of that kind of stuff. And as the executive director for a number of years, for 7 years, I brought, along with my husband, we brought the idea from concept to brick and mortar. And along the way, it was so fun and exciting. And along the way, I also had a lot of troubles, and they grew bigger and bigger and bigger for me. So even though it was work that I knew I was born to do it, and I was super passionate about it, I still got stuck, and I did it to myself. So when I look back now, back to 2010, I can see the error of some of my ways, which now is a blessing. But what I learned back then was how, as a nonprofit, I got to report to a board of directors. And the board of directors was my boss. And for as much as I was passionate, they were practical. I had these big ideas because I'm a big idea person. And they were very practical about prioritization and funding and that kind of business stuff. And I took a lot of lessons by not paying attention to all of those practical things. And I allowed, in my time back then, to get really self-righteous about my vision and my goals. I got really myopic and didn't let other people into my vision or other ways of thinking about what I was trying to create with this. So with the board of directors, we wouldn't see eye to eye on the vision. Trusts were broken, relationships got ruined, things got emotional between me and the board of directors. And I got so self-righteously angry that in 2010, I quit. I quit. Talk about self-sabotage. Talk about being stuck somewhere, having put my own self there. Okay. So I quit. I quit on my dream. I quit on my passion. I quit on my students. What I thought my future looked like, I had no other vision for my future. That's all I had in my vision for my future. And I burned it down. I did it to myself. I did that. Can anyone relate to that? Has anyone else ever like put themselves in that position where they ruined the opportunity themselves, right? Okay, it happens. So it was a real low point for me. I went from devoting my entire life to this to nothing, to feeling like I had nothing. I felt like I didn't have anything else to do. I felt depressed and angry. I felt self-righteous. People always love self-righteous anger, right? I wanted to blame everybody else. It was everyone else's fault that this happened. It wasn't my fault at all. I felt judged, and I wanted to get back at people by lashing out and judging them. I wanted to move away as if leaving town would solve things. I started to isolate myself. I started to care less about my family. I started to care less about myself in a very negative way. I was completely lost. I turned to alcohol to numb myself at times. I was a failure, and I was on a path to dig myself my own grave even deeper than I had. And the biggest problem I had was that I did not want to admit my mistakes, and I did not want to have to ask for help. And this was a super low point in my life. And this was 9 years ago, back in 2010. So what did I do? So I was broken emotionally, and our family was pretty broken financially. And I don't know if any of you can relate to something like that too, where it's just you're in a mess, right? I had few friends who I wasn't ashamed to be around. I was really angry at most of the people who I had used to think were my friends. And I was terrified. And what I started to do was started to reach out. I started to ask for some help. I reached out to one of the few friends I had left at that time, and she got me a temporary contract job that really I had no business doing. I started working at a company implementing a software system I had never even touched. I'd never even implemented software. And it turned into a beautiful thing for me. And really, the steps that I took back in 2010, 2011, 2012, those hard steps of owning up to my own failures and discovering what I could do differently, it transformed my life. And I was able to then continue transforming my life even through even more difficult hardships in the future. And what I got out of it was that I not only got a great career, I got financial independence. I earned more and more promotions at my work. I earned more and more opportunities. People were coming to me, tapping me on the shoulder for very high visibility projects. And in the end, I was sitting in the boardroom with the CEO, the CFO, and the president of my division, helping make big decisions about our global business. And even though I was laid off at the end of the year, which broke my heart in two, I was able to be resilient and move forward because I knew I wasn't going to be stuck, because I had tools in my life now that I could use. And so these are some things that we're going to be talking about today. So what led me to where I am today, I had to have those lows so I could have these highs and talk about them. So now I get to be a coach. I get to be a facilitator. I get to be a business strategist and share my knowledge with others. And I get to be my whole self. So I'm a mom, I'm a musician, I'm a wife, I'm a reader of German novels in German. I like to bake, and I'm a morning person, and I'm all those things tied up into one thing. And one of the most beautiful things about getting unstuck for me was getting to know the real me and embracing all of it. So who would like that in their life? Who wants to just embrace all of you and all of your wackiness, right? Okay, so who out there knows you're bigger than your failures? Do you know that? All my beautiful friends there, you are Betsy, you're grimacing. You don't know yet that you're bigger than your failures? Oops, you're muted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's just been a lot of what seems like failures recently, but they're really not failures. That's just the way they feel.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So they're setbacks, right? And we have the opportunity to look at them with a different mindset of um, how can this inspire me rather than pull me down? That's what I try to think about.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like a lot of you know that probably some of your habits and mindsets hold you back. Who lets money hold them back and call the shots in their lives? People let money do that to themselves? Yep. Mm-hmm. Who'd rather stay comfortable than take a risk? Yeah. All right. Yep. Risks are scary, but guess what? They're fun. Who thinks that they can't do anything to change their situation? Ooh, nobody. You all think you can do it. Good, good. Okay. So I definitely used to feel a little bit powerless in my past. And now I am just all in being me. Which one of you is ready to be all in? Are you guys all in? Okay, great. So I think we're ready now to unpack the 5 strategies that will get you out of the vortex of self-sabotage, get you unstuck. So some areas where I know we want to talk about today, and I'll try to weave these in as we go through, and we'll have a conversation. That's kind of the next part, is we're going to have a conversation. I know for Betsy, you said really talking to people about their business and about your business, right? And having that courage to face people and sell to them, right? That belief in yourself.
Well, I want to share a dream. I want to share hope. I want people to understand that I'm not in this business just to make money. Is that part of my goal? Absolutely. But I know what a gift this business is. So I just want to share that with others, because there's so much. There's so much money to be made. There's trips to be taken. I mean, there's just so much. And I don't seem to be able to get that across to people. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or, I mean, probably a whole bunch of things. But
okay.
So yeah, I just want to be able to share the gift.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll work on that today a little bit. I think there'll be some really good things to support you here today. And I know, Beth, you were talking about your career and really wanting to jumpstart that. I know you're looking for a new position and getting that move forward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm making like 5 steps forward, and then all of a sudden I just keep getting pulled back and almost like this tar. I don't know what's going on completely.
Yeah. What did I tell you this morning? We can't say it. It's X-ray.
I know, right?
Okay. All right. Mike, I know you want to increase your revenue and sales in your business. I mean, I think everyone does, no matter where you are in your career, you want to increase your earning potential. So I think that's something we can all relate to, and definitely some strategies we'll talk about today. Miley, you're talking about your strengths and you want to get real clear on what you're passionate about and how to leverage your strengths to achieve those. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay.
Not being in a position where you're complacent just because you're doing a great job now, but it's just not satisfying.
Yeah, you've got more to give. You're like giving 60% right now and there's still 40% in the tank. I love it. Overachiever. Yes. Nancy, I know you want to get clear on your passions too for your career and not have to give yourself that daily pep talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I don't want to have to give myself that pep talk. And I'm going to go with Miley also, is get really very clear on all of my strengths and what kind of feeds the fire in me. And yeah, kind of get out of that cycle of, hey, I had these really great things happen. And then Betsy and Beth, you said, oh, and then I took a step or 5 back.
Yeah.
Like, I want to stay on the gravy train.
Absolutely. I know we had some other friends join on since we started. Does anyone else want to share before we move forward a goal that you have or something you want to get unstuck in, or what's a challenge you've got that you're thinking about? Tracy wrote a note on the chat. She wants to get unstuck in romance. She's been divorced for 19 years. Sounds like she's ready to start dating. Ooh, okay, that's awesome. Anyone else want to share? You just have to unmute yourself if you're muted.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
This is Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi. I have I really do like my job, but it's the funding has always been kind of uncertain, and so the future is kind of uncertain, and I'm debating how much I want to sort of cut loose and do something a bit more freelance. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. Just sounds like a fun risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something new. Cool. Okay. Kelly or Kate, I can see you're on here. Anything you want to share? You might have to unmute yourselves in the app. No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll go on. So here are the 5 strategies I'm going to be sharing with you, and we'll talk about each one together. And then, like I said, if you've got pen and paper, it'll be really helpful because for a lot of them, I've got some stuff you'll be working on right now. So here they are. The first strategy is unclear is unkind. I think this speaks to a lot of what some of you've been saying already, which is not having that clarity in what you're trying to do, right? You've got vision and goals, but you just, or maybe you don't have a vision and goals, and we feel like we're supposed to, right? So thinking about that. The next one is to know yourself, getting really clear on who you are and what your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities are. So we're going to talk about that, and that should go right to Miley and Nancy. I know that's something you were talking about just a moment ago. The third one is going to be know what you control. So there are going to be situations where we have control and some where we don't have control, right? Things just happen outside of our control. And actually, that's most of the things in life. And we'll talk about mindset and how to adjust our mindset so we can show up with some sort of ownership over the situations we're in. We're going to talk about starting with the end in mind, which for me is going to be about a personal mission and vision. So coming up with that, I've got some tools and strategies for you to each develop your own personal mission and vision, and I'll share mine with you. Well, the way it is right now. And we'll talk a little bit about why it's important to embrace fear and have fun. And if you don't know this, fun is my word for the year for 2019. I'm trying to have as most fun as possible, including this. This is super fun. So who's ready to go on and talk about unclear is unkind? You guys ready? All right, here we go. So unclear being unkind. Tell me this. Who knows this? Who can answer this question? If you could achieve anything in your life, what would you achieve? All right, Miley, what is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just waving to someone actually. Wow. Now I'm on the spot. If I could achieve anything in my life.
Yeah.
If I could achieve anything, it'd be my own. I want to run my own business. I want to be my own boss.
Yeah.
But what do I want to do, or how do I do it? That's what I'm stuck on.
Ah, okay. Got it. So anyone else know it? If they could achieve anything, know what that is? Beth, what's that?
Financial freedom.
Ooh. Cool. All right. We'll be talking about that. Let's see. I think I've got a chat coming in. Oh, Nancy said, thanks for inspiring and stepping up to share. Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to say that dream job, Kate, that we've been talking about, where I'm having so much fun that I don't even know that I'm working,
Yeah.
and the financial freedom.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I'm shining every day with my superpowers.
Yeah.
That we're going to get really clear on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks all of you guys for sharing. So sometimes, does anyone ever get annoyed when people are like, what are your goals and what's your vision? I know I ask that to people a lot and they're like, I don't know. Can anyone relate to that? They're like, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to know what it is, and sometimes it changes a lot, right? And like I said before, we've all got strategies and we've all got goals in our life, whether we know it or not. And sometimes our success or a lack of success depends on it. So some ways that we can start to, let me get the PowerPoint forward, start to think about getting some more clarity if you're unclear. On your piece of paper right now, just write 3 columns, do, be, and have. And I've got just some examples here. So like just go make 3 columns, do, be, and have. You don't have to put my examples in here. But if you're someone who doesn't know what you want to do, a way you can start to get more familiar with it is writing down some things that you want to do, some things you want to be or be known as, or some things you want to have. So for me, it might be a road trip. For some of you, it might be get a boyfriend. Suzanne wants to write and publish in a couple of areas. That's awesome, Suzanne. I didn't know that. Maybe you want to be a painter, or you want to learn a new language. Maybe you want to be known as someone who is awesome at analytics. And what do you want to have? For some people, it just might be like having a clear desk. Knowing where things are in my refrigerator could be what you want to have. Financial freedom is something I have on here. Maybe somebody wants more education. So everyone have a few ideas of do, be, and have. Anyone want to share one? Suzanne shared her writing and publishing in a couple of areas.
I could share a have for sure.
Yeah, what's that?
A clear inbox in my email.
That's a high order, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, clear inboxes. Okay, but that's good. That gives you actually something to work on, because why I bring up this do, be, have, it's really simple, right? It's not complicated, but what we can do with this is start to outline a few goals for ourselves, okay? So from the things you wrote down just now, which one excites you the most? So Mike, is cleaning out your inbox the one that excites you the most?
No, not at all. That's why it's a mess.
Okay, which one does excite you the most?
Well, just quickly jotting down, I mean, travel under a do is travel for sure.
Travel. Okay, great. All
That-
right.
Probably
Nice.
the most exciting.
Okay. Is there a specific place you want to travel to?
Southeast Asia, I think, would be very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
When would you like to do that by? Is that like a 2020 goal, 2019 goal?
No, 2019 is not a realistic one, but I think within 5 years, I think is a realistic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's a really great example of how if you know that you want to do it and you can create a plan for it, you can, save the money, make the plan, and make that happen. How about somebody else? What is something that you wrote down for do, be, or have that really excites you?
I wrote down have organization, and like there is nothing about my life that is organized. My entire life, from my desk at work to my desk at home to my bedroom right now, that's got 3 baskets of clean, dirty clothes. I mean, I know that affects me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How does it affect you, Betsy?
How does it affect me?
Yeah.
I think it just gives me a sense. I think when I'm in clutter, I feel cluttered.
Mm. Can anyone
And
else relate to that? I think probably a lot of people. Yeah. Okay. So you feel
so,
cluttered. Yeah.
um,
Okay.
yeah, and when I feel cluttered and when I feel overwhelmed, I shut down. So
Mm.
like right now, looking at my bedroom, I would just rather ignore it and not pay any attention to it than to have to deal with it because
Yeah.
it feels overwhelming.
Sure. Yeah. So how else does that show up in your life and hold you back?
Um, Probably just about everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So that like a disorganized mind also is something, because when we're around disorganization, it is scientifically proven that um, the stuff that is in our way clutters our thinking, because it's so easy to procrastinate then, because sometimes you find yourself, does anyone ever find themselves like cleaning up before they can do anything? And then by the
Oh,
time you're done cleaning up, you have no time to do the thing you meant to do,
yeah.
right? So that's an example of procrastination showing up as perfectionism. And that can just sabotage our life in so many ways. I know that Suzanne wrote in the chat here that she wants the impossible dream of a clean basement. I know what you mean, Suzanne, right? So these things can really get in the way of our success. So unclear is unkind, not only in knowing what our vision is, but I think, Betsy, you brought us to a real tangible example of where unclear, by meaning like stuff everywhere, is also unkind to ourselves, because then we give ourselves excuses, right, to not do the thing we're supposed to do.
Or I beat myself up,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
which is probably, you know, because now it's not just a bedroom. Now it's nice out and the grass is tall and, there's the winter mess in the yard. And so,
Yeah.
now I get to pile more stuff on.
Oh, right. So then you start some self-shaming behavior, which doesn't inspire anybody to do
No.
anything, right? And that's where I was too. Back when I left the Center for Irish Music and felt so much shame for the destruction I put upon myself there. I definitely didn't want to start anything because I felt like it was too much, right? So what I did was just get a little bit of clarity, a little sliver of clarity in one place, and then eventually was able to shoehorn that into big opportunity and big happiness and joy. All right. So these things are this can be serious and fun, and I challenge you to keep going on this list and come up with a few in each area. And they can be very tangible, like cleaning, right? Or they can be more abstract, like finding a boyfriend, or um, it could be something like being charitable. That's a little bit more abstract, but you can actually act on those things and come up with some things that really excite you. My biggest tip on this is actually write it down and put a date on it and put it in your calendar so you can do it. Okay. Ready for the next tip? Ah, I'm ready. I'm going to go. Okay. Know yourself. Now, this is really about emotional intelligence. And this is about knowing what's right about me, understanding what's great about me, and also understanding the things that are holding me back. So back when I left the Center for Irish Music, I was an egomaniac, right? Like I was so self-righteously angry that it took me a while to understand that the situation was of my own making. I didn't know myself back then. So once I did know myself, I could think about what I could do differently and what I could be great at. So with your pen and paper, here are the next few steps. So depending on your situation, so I know for some people it's a job or business that you're in. For some people it's relationships. For some people it's clarity. So write down some threats and opportunities that you have. Now, who has a question on threats? Like, what does threat mean? Because that might be a little vague. No? Okay. So, like, what are the things that could damage you? What are the things that are threatening to you or could hold you back?
Is potential failure
Yeah, potential
threat?
failures. Yes. Potential failure is a threat. So if you're trying to take a risk and start a business, you know, there's a potential threat there of failure. There's a potential threat with financials if you want to go and get your MBA and you don't have your financials. And opportunities are, what are 3 things out there that you feel like you can achieve? Does anyone want to share a threat or an opportunity?
I think for me, my threat would be I had a real, and Kate, when you and I talked a while back, my job situation, which has resolved itself, praise God. But that was, you know, that was the first thing that came to mind when you talked about a threat. And that was a huge threat because I was in danger of losing my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I guess I can even tie, because the bullies have been fired. And I know. And we have this new management that's so, I mean, I'm surprised we don't all stand around and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I mean, there's this, it's this loving environment, and, you know, so I feel like I've got this opportunity because, you know, even though all that stuff went wrong with my job, and there certainly was a lot of it that wasn't my fault, but I played a part too. So, you know, I get to take that stuff and change it. So because I do have an opportunity, a new opportunity now. I've got a new immediate supervisor and a new deputy director. So I don't really have any career aspirations. I mean, I retire in 5 years, so I'm not looking to climb the corporate ladder or anything like that. But I would just like to have a pleasant 5 years. You know, so I feel like I have a really big opportunity in front of me right now just to kind of shine a little bit.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else want to share your threats or opportunities that you thought of?
I think one threat for me, I would be, it would be public embarrassment and putting yourself out there and maybe being on a platform where you're judged.
Okay. So public embarrassment. Can anyone else relate to that? Like fear of being judged by others? Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that. So you're not alone, Miley. So what's the worst thing that could happen if someone judged you?
I know it's so stupid because it doesn't even matter what anyone else thinks. I think it's
like, but it stops us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally can stop us. That fear of failure, that fear of judgment.
I'm sorry. I was just going to add on to what Miley said about the judgment by others and it stops us. So I had a moment recently this week where something really good was happening for me, and it literally paralyzed me in me thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to look so stupid. I'm not going to be able to come across in an authentic, intelligent manner. And I started judging what that person was going to judge about me. And I'm like, what am I doing? So yeah, it's the whole judging, thinking you're being judged by others, and then in turn starting to judge yourself, guessing what they're going to think.
Yeah, that's a real, unfortunately, powerful self-sabotaging behavior where we make assumptions about the world. And we definitely can let those assumptions just rule everything we think about and do. And what I encourage you to do always is to just check those assumptions and say, is this really true? Is it really going to be, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? How could I look at this differently? What's another way what's another outcome that could happen from this? And every time we have those fears, just looking it in the face, right? Kelly, there's someone else here online who wrote a note about imposter syndrome. And I actually just brought up imposter syndrome at a conference we were at. Miley, perhaps you remember, and Lisa was there. And Rachel Hollis responded to my question on how do you overcome imposter syndrome. And why don't I just grab my notes from her? So, so what she told me, and this was really wonderful. This was just so wonderful. So I brought up that something I'm struggling with is imposter syndrome at times because I'm new to this. Can anyone else relate to feeling like maybe you're not worthy enough or you shouldn't be doing this thing, right? So what she said just the other day is the way to defeat imposter syndrome is knowledge. Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. So building your knowledge is going to be the antidote to imposter syndrome. So if that's something you struggle with, treat that symptom. So she was saying that we struggle inside with the weight of doing what others expect us to do. Okay, we can struggle with that because we actually think people are expecting to do things, us to do things, but we just need to really build our own knowledge and get really hardcore about the things that we want to do and the things we want to know and ask questions. So that's what she gave me as advice just this week, which was a pretty powerful lesson that we had. Great. And Kelly shared that really resonated with her as well. So she really enjoyed that comment as well. All right.
Hi, Kate. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi.
Hi.
Loved meeting you this week also. And what I would say is, and no offense to Mike on the line, but
yeah,
women tend to sabotage themselves more often than not because we want to have 100% to apply for a new job or a new opportunity. And we just hold ourselves back so much. And I think we just have to reach out further.
Yeah.
And say, we have the experience and, here's why and whatnot. And I would love to hear from others what they've experienced in that scenario.
Okay. Yeah, so sometimes we hold ourselves back from asking questions. And I'm going to guess that Mike also holds himself back from asking questions. I think, but we'll let everyone answer here. I don't want to assume, right? So who else can resonate with that and has experience there?
Sure. Yeah, this is Suzanne. Like the last 3 jobs I've had have all been required sort of different bases of knowledge. And this happens a lot. And I know I'm a quick study, but I still often feel out of my depth. And I think that's just the way it is. But, I have to deal with a lot of very technical people in areas like, water resources and hydrology and agriculture and so on. And so I'm kind of used to being the least knowledgeable person. And that can be a strength in some ways because it helps you translate their sort of scientific jargon into something that's more plain language.
I love that.
It's not all bad.
Yeah, because that really gets into your strengths, because what I hear you say with that, Suzanne, is that a strength you have then is the ability to synthesize information and communicate it in a way that others can understand it.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I just had a bad experience that my confidence gets undermined very easily. And I had a recent experience where some people in another agency reached out and asked me to do something for them. And it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm happy to help. And then after they consulted with some other people, they said, no, we really can't ask you to do this.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's been kind of gnawing at me ever since, because I'm not sure if it was a particular person or what was behind it. So
Ah,
that's,
we're gonna get into that soon in step 3 about what you can and can't control.
right.
I love it. It's like you set us up for that. So, what we're doing here with writing down your weaknesses and strengths, at this point, your strengths should be pretty clear, right? We've done a reverse SWOT analysis, and a SWOT analysis is a very technical business strategy, but I love applying these kinds of tools in life. I think they can be really helpful, especially if we don't frequently analyze ourselves to this degree. And the reason I like to do it in reverse, a lot of people go strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, and you end on the threats. The reason I like to start with the threats and opportunities is it gets you thinking bigger about other things outside of yourself, right? Then with the weaknesses and strengths, you're thinking about yourself. So what are some places where I need to improve myself? And some people write opportunities instead of weaknesses. So if you've seen that before, you could, and if you don't like the word weakness, you could change out the word opportunity there. Although that clashes with opportunity. I don't know. I think they're trying to dress it up when they call it opportunities, but it's basically places where you need to improve, right? We all can be honest about that. We all have places to improve. Because if you do this in the opposite way, your strengths should get really clear on how your strengths would help you mitigate threats, leverage opportunities, and minimize your weaknesses. So does anyone want to share a strength?
Hi, Kate. This is Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, everyone.
Are you calling from Florida?
I am calling from Florida.
Ah,
I know, and
nice.
I'm not sorry about that at all. Most of the people in the room don't know my story, but I just I'd lost my job in October and took a dream job in Florida. And so I've been down here since the end of December. And for those of you that are facing some challenges, let me just be the beacon of encouragement, because something that was so devastating to me really became one of the biggest blessings. And, you know, I'm living by the beach and I'm making more money and, you know, like it's amazing. So,
yeah.
And Kate, obviously you are a shiny example of that as well. So, I wanted to comment a couple things. One thing that I recently saw on a self-evaluation at a job, instead of saying weaknesses, it said areas for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, does put a more positive spin on it. So if that is something that other people like better. But I, you know, for me, and I know that the question was about the strengths.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest threat, the biggest area for growth for myself is me. You know, I mean, like, I am the biggest block. You know, I get in my own way. And so I'm my biggest advocate, and I have a lot of amazing qualities. but I also am the biggest sabotage too. And I think I would assume that everybody on here shares some similar thoughts, or we wouldn't probably be on this call. But it, like it is, my self-worth issues. And then like in 1 minute I can feel like a rock star, and then the next minute I feel worthless. And so, I mean, like, I'm in such a better headspace than I was even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, I'm hitting grand slams, but there are still areas of my life, like the romance area. I want to share my life with someone. And I know that my self-confidence is one of the things that's holding me back. And so, all of the amazing qualities can be wiped off of the board if you don't have the confidence to present that. So I recognize it, and I'm working on it, and I am blessed to do better at it.
Yes. Well, who else can relate to that confidence or lack of confidence holding you back? I think a lot of people can. And I know for you in particular, Tracy, it's a romantic relationship. And I think confidence holds a lot of people back in all sorts of relationships with anybody. It doesn't have to be romantic. One of the things that I also learned about this week is confidence really comes from being competent. Confidence also comes from doing the thing that you don't know yet. It's really closely related to how you solve for the symptom of imposter syndrome. So we had a speaker at an event I was at. Her name was Grace Killalea, and she wrote a book that I recommend called The Confidence Effect. And you might check that out. But she talked a lot about getting comfortable saying that we're good at things, and the difference between arrogance and confidence being your generosity and intention. So Tracy, with confidence, if you can feel generous and that you have a good intention, does that help you with any like feeling like you could be more confident?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that it's, specifically in the romance department, I know that I have amazing qualities to offer. And again, it's just, like just getting over that step. And I've been doing some dating down here, and, getting that started again is, it's a daunting process sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And quite comical as well. But
Good.
I mean, like you learn quickly what you want and what you don't. And like I'm just trying to keep a sense of humor about it. And everyone tells me I should write a book because my dating stories are so far-fetched and ridiculous that like I couldn't make them up. They're just that ridiculous. But
well, maybe you need your own podcast.
Maybe so. But again, I feel that the confidence factor, the worth factor, is oftentimes the root cause for any stumbling block that we have. I mean, whatever it is, asking someone out for a date, asking your boss for a raise, asking for someone to listen to your business opportunity, whatever that is, it's that moment of fear, that moment of, rejection,
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I, you know, I feel like it's an innate quality that we have that, you know, we all just get to get better at. And I think it's important too, like just for opportunities that you're providing, Kate, is to lift each other up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's so important. We're so, you know, society, everything is all about tearing down someone. You know, they're too thin, they're not thin enough, they're too pretty, they're not pretty enough, they're too smart, they're not smart enough, you know, whatever. And we get to hold each other high.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Tracy, thank you for that. I think that it's people who are really confident don't take the light away from other people. They give their light to others, right? People who are really confident ask for
Absolutely.
help because they don't see that asking for help is a weakness. They see it as a strength because they know that their competence is limited. They can't know everything, right? So I love what you shared there. That's great. All right. Well, we obviously have a lot to talk about. I'm going to move on because we're only on number 2 and we need to keep going here. So let's talk about mindset here. Key number 3 for being successful, know what you can control. So there's probably things in your life, in your situation that you have control over. And there are probably things in your life that you do not have control over. For me, when I was in the depths of my despair, I thought I had control over everything. And when I found out I really didn't have any control over anything, that's when I really had a very low breakdown for myself, right? And so getting familiar with the fact that I actually control very few things in life, aside from what? I mean, what do you think we do have control over? Anybody?
Our emotions and how we react to others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our choices.
Our choices. Yeah. Our emotions. Anything else?
Our you know, what we do.
What we do. Yeah. How we show up. Those are the things we have control over. Is how do we take in information when you get critical feedback? Like, how do you take that? And basically
We get
everything
to
else.
control what kind of shoes we wear.
Ah, what kind of shoes we wear. Yes. Oh, yes. And taking care of ourselves and self-care. Yes, we can control that. We can control that. Oftentimes we think we can't control that, but we actually can. Thank you. So, a lot of other things we don't have control over. And so this really comes down to a mindset shift. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but this is something I'll share this PowerPoint deck with you later so you can have all these notes from the slides. But with a mindset shift, there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. I mentioned this before about reframing a situation. And this has been a very powerful tool for me when I know I don't have control. So I can look at the situation as happening for me and not to me. When I do that, it shifts me from being a victim of these things to it being something that I can learn from. It's a lesson, it's a gift, right? So if things are happening to me, they're a gift to me. I'm sorry, if they're happening to me, I'm just a victim of it. I have no control and there's nothing I can do about it. But if it's happening for me, I can learn and I can grow. Now, another way to shift your mindset, and this is something I'm working on. It's tricky, and let me know if any of you have tried this. It's called radical acceptance, or maybe just acceptance, that the situation is neither good nor bad. It just is, and I still get to be me, and I let go of any anger or judgment. So for me, that's like, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the serenity prayer, but it's something I might say to myself a few times today. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference, right? So things aren't good or bad. They're not happening for me or to me. They just are. That's another way of thinking about it. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Does that resonate with anyone? Do you think about, does that help you think about control in situations and shifting your mindset a little bit? So for you, Betsy, I think about your business, and every time you get a decline and every time you don't get the courage to go and talk to someone, it's happening for you because you're learning something about yourself, right? And you can shift and learn and grow with that and try something different next time, right?
Right.
Because you're going to go and get all those sales. Yes. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Anyone else have any comments on this mindset of like being a victim of the world or being a learner or just letting it go? It's easier said than done, right? It's like something that you can write down really easily, but it's kind of hard to do. Okay. Yep, it's been powerful for me. It's helped me relax when I can do that. All right, number 4. Oh, this is fun. Start with the end in mind. So, oh my gosh, we are over time. Do people have a little bit more time?
I'm okay.
So much fun. Okay, if you've got to jump, I'll connect with you again later. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. We're having so much fun. Okay, so the next step is start with the end in mind. And if you think back to knowing yourself, which we talked about in key number 2, what we do when we think about knowing ourselves is starting to get a little view into our mission and our vision. Does anyone have a mission, like a personal mission or vision in your life right now? Not written down or articulate quickly, easily to articulate. Okay, so this is something I'll encourage you to do, and you can take this with you. So here's something I think about a lot when I'm doing career coaching. I ask someone, who is someone you admire and what do you admire about them, and describe them. I'll also, for career coaching, I'll say to someone, if you were to get a fantastic LinkedIn recommendation a year from now, what would that LinkedIn recommendation say about you? So put forward, like, a year from now, I want someone in my LinkedIn recommendation or in a job recommendation, or maybe it's a client referral, I want them to say, oh my God, Mike and his team of carpenters did the most amazing work. They really listened to my needs. They went above and beyond. Their price was the best investment I've ever had in my home, and I'd recommend them to anybody. Or it could be something like, Suzanne is someone you can really rely on. She's really quick to pick up on information in the meetings. She's got a good eye for detail and is able to communicate and articulate quickly with others, right? So these are like maybe some ways you can think about how you'd like to be described in a recommendation. So think about that. With your mission, it's about your end goal. So what do you do? Who do you impact, and how do you do it? Your vision is more going to be about your hopes and dreams, what problems you're solving, what change you are inspiring. Your vision should help you focus on what really matters, and you say it in the present tense. So as an example, I'm going to share mine with you. For me, my mission is to serve others through coaching and consulting so that they can see and elevate their own potential and achieve their dream goals. That is my mission in life. My mission is to support others to elevate their own potential. My vision is that I support powerful men, women, and businesses in creating maximum success in their lives because the world needs them to deliver the positive impact they've been called to make. And I'll tell you what, that vision gets me up every day. That vision is so exciting to me. that it can be 5:15 in the morning. I'm a 5 a.m. I'm a morning girl. And that vision gets me out of bed and helps me show up for the days, because I know that it's my job to support others in creating the impact that they need to make in the world, because the world needs them. So getting really clear on that why really gets me unstuck. So like, how many of you would, like, at 5 in the morning would prefer to put a pillow over your head and roll over, right? I don't do that anymore. I jump up, I'm unstuck. I am so motivated to fulfill this vision.
You jump up out of bed?
Well, some days are more jumpy than others. I've listened to Mel Robbins, and she has this
oh, I like her too.
The 5-second method or rule, where you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're up. Right? Oh, we've got a night owl. Kelly's a night owl. That's all right. You can still be inspired by your vision. But I encourage you all to come up with a mission and a vision, because again, for anyone who's unclear on what you want to create in the world, what your strengths are and your passions are, these can really support you in motivating you and getting you unstuck in those moments. Back when I was super stuck in the Center for Irish Music role, and when I was really fighting with the board of directors there, my mission in life apparently was to make my own life miserable. So I don't ever want to be there again. So I really prefer this mission and vision here. All right. So the last key is having fun and getting outside your comfort zone, embracing that fear. So I've got this little chart on the PowerPoint, if you can see it, and it shows performance and pressure on a little matrix here. And when we're in our comfort zone, our performance is low and we've got low pressure. It's like not a lot of pressure is happening. We're not really motivated. And gosh, we're kind of like status quo stuck. Like, how many of you can relate to that? Just feeling stuck and status quo, and I don't care. It's Tuesday, whatever, you know, oh, it's Saturday, whatever. The opposite end of the spectrum is when we're in the panic zone. Has anyone ever hung out in the panic zone for a while, where you've got way too much pressure and you're just exhausted? Right? There's just too many things going on. Mike, you're there a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Suzanne says she experiences these over the course of different days from one day to another. Yeah. Well, where you really want to be is more in that middle, where you're outside your comfort zone, because that's where you're going to be learning. And when you're learning, that's where your peak performance is going to be. And even though it's scary, if you can shift your mindset to not having that judgment and fear, it's going to also be really, really fun. Oh, Tracy says she can go from comfort zone to panic zone to stretch zone all in an hour. Well, Kelly says it's a roller coaster with a lot of panic. Okay, so it sounds like, tell me this, do you think you guys put the pressure on yourself, or is it external?
I think both.
Okay.
Both.
Both? Okay. Both. All right. So there's pressure on you externally, and you're also putting pressure on yourself. And that gets you in that.
I also think definitely the external pressure will significantly affect the internal conversation, you know, just everything that the pressure that I'm putting on myself is going to be affected in how I do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Well, this is an area where if you feel this frequently, and Suzanne says it's situational, right? And I think a lot of us can relate to that. It's situational. But if it's something that we can put some control over ourselves, so how we're showing up or how our mindset is prepared for these moments, the one thing we don't want is that burnout and that exhaustion, right? That's where then you wind up in the hospital. That's where then you wind up on a medication. That's where you stop taking care of yourself. And so one of the things someone said in the chat, I can't remember who, is that we can control our self-care. So think about that in here the next time you're feeling a panic or you're pitting out. I know when I get really panicky, I just start sweating. How can you pull yourself back into more of it being a stretch with that mindset of it being fun, like taking that mindset away of it being a judgment or good or bad, and being something happening for you so you can learn. Lisa says that she feels it's both responding to customers and internally sometimes it helps to step back for a time. She shared. Okay. Yeah. So getting outside your comfort zone should be fun. It should be a little bit stretchy. I was just working with a client earlier this afternoon and he was sharing with me his financial goals. Well, guess what? He didn't meet his Q1 financial goal. So in the first quarter, he was hoping to get 75,000 in revenue in his business, and he got 50,000 in revenue in his business. So I said, okay, well, what's your goal for your second quarter? And he said, well, I'm going to do 75,000 in the second quarter. And I said, well, how about this? If you really still want to get to your goal for the end of the year, why don't you tack on that 25 to 70 onto that 75? And why isn't your goal 100,000 for the second quarter for your business, right? So we can so often get back into our own little comfort zones where we play small. We're not challenging ourselves enough. And also there were things that got in his way from to create the 75 in the first quarter. And how is he even going to get over those? But I'm not going to let him off the hook. I am getting him stretchy. If he doesn't reach the goal, that's okay, but he's going to get stretched to do something different. And I'm coaching him every week on this, because if he really wants to get his annual goal done, he can't keep performing at 60%. I mean, do a lot of you feel like you're performing at 60% sometimes, right? And you've got this potential, but you're not doing it. So for all of you out there, I encourage you to think of your scariest goal. Does anyone want to share? I mean, Miley, you shared before, like opening your own business is kind of a scary goal for you, and that fear of being judged, right? Or the fear of failure. How could you take one small step that's achievable and fun about opening your business? Like, what could you do?
I think one thing to, even just the smallest little step, is maybe starting like a podcast or something simple as that.
Yeah. Something I'm doing now is I'm writing every morning. I'm not publishing it every day, but I'm writing every morning when I get up at 5 a.m. Just to have an opinion. I don't want to just share information. I found a powerful thing for me is to actually have an opinion in addition to information. So it's something I do every day. And maybe that's, getting up and writing frequently could help you, Miley, because then you'll have content for your podcast. And if you get that podcast going, when would you like to get that done by or get that started by? Mm-hmm. What do you think? I'm asking. I'm literally asking you.
I feel like that's
Is that a little scary? Are you sweating?
I don't know, maybe end of the year.
End of the year? Okay, yeah. Great. I'm writing it down for you. Don't worry. I know we're going really far over here and it looks like a few people have to jump off the call, but don't be afraid of these things, because guess what? They're going to get you in a better position no matter what, right? Like, even if it isn't successful, you're going to learn from it. And I think that's something Tracy shared. It's a lot of things other people shared, was that even if it wasn't something that was super successful, it's something we can learn from. And you can have fun, right? So I know that we have to wrap up now, but think about what's one reason why you're not achieving your goal right now. You don't have to share it with me, but we've shared it earlier, like some of those challenges. Oftentimes we have a vision and we get in our own way. And I can't remember which one of you said it. Maybe it was Tracy, like we get in our own way. And Betsy, I know you sent that to me earlier. You get in your own way. I know I do. I'm definitely getting in my own way. But to overcome the challenge of getting in our own way and to achieve our vision, we have to get over ourselves, right? And Suzanne writes, she's got too many conflicting goals. She needs some inertia. So I said earlier, I just wanted to share quickly with you guys about, oh, thanks Lisa for joining, that I know that having a powerful coach by your side to cheer you on will really help you move things forward quickly. I have a coach who has done amazing work for me, and I know that it's extremely helpful. So who knows out there that you're worth it? You're worth doing this. You're worth working on yourself. You guys all know that, right? You're definitely worth it. So you shared your goals. You shared where you're stuck. We talked about 5 key strategies for getting unstuck. And I'm standing here for you. I want to see you win. You know, my mission and vision is to support you. So if you don't want to stay stuck, I'm offering a 90-day transformation program for people to overcome their challenges and achieve their goals and visions. And if you want to get unstuck, if you know I can help, what could you create in 90 days? Just think about that. Think about what you could create in 90 days. Who's ready to take that on and achieve their goals? Who's ready?
Definitely.
Mike is.
Yeah.
Betsy is.
Definitely.
Right. Awesome.
We're on for Saturday.
Yes, Nancy, we're on for Saturday. So who's in? I'm going to contact you after the call and we'll just have a follow-up in the next few days. Miley, you want to call?
No, I'm scared.
You're scared? I'm a nice person to talk to, right, Nancy?
Oh no, it just means I have to actually be accountable instead of just dreaming about it.
Miley, Kate is wonderful. You will not regret it, for sure.
All right. Well, how about I do this? I'm going to follow up with each of you and see how you can move your goals forward faster, because I don't want to hear about you sitting around for another year sitting on your goals. And my mission is to support you all in bringing your visions to life, because it's so beautiful, right? So I'll follow up with each of you to see about that 90-day program if you're interested in it. And if you know anyone else who wants to get unstuck, let me know. I can share this recording with them and share the PowerPoint with you. And thank you so much for staying on for so late. We're like super over because we had a great conversation, which I just love.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So with the 90-day program that you're talking about, would we be getting together as a group too and kind of doing this again? And like, how does it work? Because it sounds interesting to me.
Oh, you know what, Beth? I do one-on-one coaching, but actually that's a good point. We could potentially do group coaching if others are interested in that. That could definitely be a possibility. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see, like, if you know what I mean, if we're all starting at the same time and checking. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good.
Oh, do people like that idea? I've never thought of that. Who would be in for group coaching?
I like this right now.
Yeah. Does this feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll be in touch with you all and see what we can do about that. I've got definitely a one-on-one coaching program designed. I haven't thought about the group coaching, but that's can absolutely do that. Yeah.
Kind of like group therapy.
Only better because I give you action items. And
I'm in for the one-on-one, Kate, but I would love to be connected with the group similar to what you're doing and to hear about what else is going on, coming up with for others, because it's helpful for me as well.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. This has just been so fun. And so excited to have you all on my first webinar call. So thank you for trusting me with your hour and a half. And I hope you have a great night. Thanks so much.
You too.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Love you.
Bye, Kate. Kate.
Love you too. Bye.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's so